You gotta love these off-season workout videos when it's an open gym and then it gets everyone excited about how said player has been looking thus far in the off-season. And yeah, I might be one of those guys jumping on the P-Will off-season hype train, if there is one. I might be the only one riding it, because man, do we need a breakout year from Patrick Williams. We desperately need a breakout season from Pat for this team to truly make any kind of leap, given we know that they're running it back. And there are a few things I like from this very brief video of him getting some run against some non-NBA competition, although I think there were a few NBA players in there as well. I mean, one, the man was actually being aggressive and getting to the basket, being aggressive and playing with the ball in his hands and creating shots for himself, but it also was his overall release on his shot. We've always talked about how Pat's shooting form is solid. He does shoot the ball from three well, but his release is just too slow to make him an effective enough of a shooter when he's playing against NBA defenses. You can tell he started to speed up his release off of the dribble. His handles look significantly better. He started incorporating a fadeaway jumper, added a bit of a step back to his game. Like, these are all the kinds of things you want to see from your 21-year-old lottery pick. That is your main piece you have working for you for the future. That said, I'll step back from fantasy land here and back to reality, because what some people might not remember is that we saw this from Pat before. He was playing a pickup game with some pros and amateurs shortly before he was drafted, or I shouldn't say before, after he was drafted, and as a 19-year-old kid, he was dominating the court against pros. I remember watching that video from a few years back. It was around the time I started the channel, and I said, yes, this kid is going to be good. He is going to be something special, because regardless of the fact that it was a nothing game, regardless of the fact that it's a game where you're not going to be seeing any semblance of defense, regardless of the fact that in those types of pickup games, they're not going to be playing the same level of team basketball you would see in the regular season. But regardless of all of that, you saw the skills from Pat. You saw he had the intangibles needed to be an NBA level talent. The shooting, the handles, the defense, the post-up game, finishing at the rim. He was doing it all. And you even heard some of the guys who played in that pickup game after the 2020 draft say that the sky's the limit for this kid. Spencer Dinwiddie in particular emphasized that point. So while yes, I get excited in seeing Pat play like this, because we haven't really seen this from him since those days back in 2020, at the same time, I'm going to try to save that excitement for when we actually start seeing Pat play like this in an NBA game, and in an NBA game where it counts with high pressure stakes. Because yes, everyone likes to bring up the one game against the Timberwolves in the final game of the year, the season before last, where everyone was sitting out for both teams because playoff seeding had already been established, and Pat went off for like 35 points and was dominating on both ends of the floor. But I want to see Pat playing like this, being aggressive, playing with the ball in his hands, getting to the basket, putting up more shots, and not being afraid to take them. I want to see him do that when the game is on the line. Until we see that, I'm not going to put that much stock into these clips that were just released. It's encouraging because he looks super smooth out there, and I love seeing that release speed up, but we'll see if it carries in over into actual NBA games. And I did want to talk about Pat in general a bit more, because I feel like we haven't talked about him much given everything that has been going on in the offseason, from Vucevic and his extension to Coby White, the additions of Javon Carter, Torrey Craig, and of course Io being extended as well. But not a lot is being talked about Patrick Williams and just how critical this season is going to be for him. I talked about this in my interview with Chuck Swirsky last week about the importance of Pat, his development, and taking that significant leap from year 3 to 4, and just how critical that is going to be for the Bulls. We were hoping it was going to come last season. Everyone was hoping for that breakout year from Pat in year 3, but that might have been wishful thinking considering he missed most of his sophomore season due to injury, where the Bulls were, as a team, also struggling to form any identity, especially on the offensive end, which made Pat timid at times, wasn't getting the touches you would like to see from him, with DeMar and Zach getting the bulk of shot attempts, as well as Vucevic. But going into this season, and again, I realized, at least right now anyway, it's more or less going to be the same roster. The three main offensive players are all going to be coming back and likely going to be getting most of the shot attempts. But going into this season, we need to see a new Patrick Williams. We need to see the coaching staff also recognize just how important it is going to be for Pat. Going into his 4th season, going to be 22. This is that all critical year for players' development and where it takes them for the rest of their career. That year before they enter restricted free agency and look for that big contract after their rookie deal. That year where the guys truly start taking off as men as they near their primes in the NBA. For Patrick Williams, with how talented he is as an athlete, for the skills he does possess in so many aspects of the game, from handling the ball, passing, shooting, posting up, defense, both on and off the ball defense, he has all the skills necessary to be one of the better two-way players in the league. It's just a matter of channeling that talent and getting the most out of it and reaching his true potential. It's certainly on Patrick Williams to get there, but it also is on the coaching staff. You have to give Pat more touches, force him into situations where he has to be more aggressive, have him handle the ball more. Have Zach and DeMar take a step back sometimes and defer to Patrick Williams on offense. He's only going to develop if the team allows for it to happen. And if Pat is assertive enough in being more aggressive on the court and putting to rest the nickname of Passive Pat as well. Now, I know there are some who are out on Patrick Williams, calling him a bust, a waste of a number 4 pick, and that's fine. You can call him that, but for me personally, I'm still a Pat believer because while yes, the lack of aggression is concerning, I still see the talent and the skills there for him to be a great player in this league, and recognizing that he's still just 21 years old, not even close to his prime yet. But he has the maturity, the poise, and the drive to get better, and it's why I just can't rule Patrick Williams out yet. Can't write him off after only 3 seasons in the league, and really 2 when you factor in he missed most of his second year. Too many times we have written off players so early in their careers, whether it be a Bulls player or not, and then we always have to come back and eat our words. You look at a guy like Lauri Markkanen. So many people thought he peaked and wasn't going to be getting any better. Finds the perfect situation for him and breaks out into an all-star. And for Patrick Williams, we've seen the flashes, we've seen the potential. It's just a matter of whether that can be harnessed into truly becoming an elite level NBA player. Obviously, he's got a lot of work to do to get to that point, but seeing him putting in the kind of work that we saw from those clips, doing the boot camps with DeMar DeRozan as well, is a start in the right direction and going into that ever so pivotal season for him. Would love to hear what you guys think though. What are your expectations of Patrick Williams for this upcoming season? Let me know in the comments. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.